Hey, welcome everyone to Open Tab. This is CNET's weekly recap show where we throw a few back in good company and talk about all the tech that will work for you this holiday weekend. Pay attention, big holiday weekend, a lot of tech to pay attention to. I'm Jeff Bakalar, joined by our wearables expert, Mr. Scott Stein.
Hello.
Don't worry,
to be here.
Scott Stein does more than just wearables, I promise you that.
I'm just a wearables expert. That's all I'm ever good for.
And he just drinks beer on couches.
We got Mike. To vibrate.
We got Mike and Brian in the control room. They're steering the ship, hopefully through peaceful waters. And we're going to be taking your questions as we are so very looking forward to all of your riveting Facebook and YouTube commentary because, as we all know, those are two platforms where brilliant discourse takes place. All right? We know that. All right, let's get into
We're expecting elevated thoughts.
The bar's pretty freaking high, kids.
Let's do it.
Let's jump into our first... Oh, Joey's here.
Hey, Joey.
I'm sorry, that wasn't in the prompter.
I'm snuggled next to him.
Joseph Kaminski, huddled behind a laptop, is here to Scott's right.
I know, I'm quiet. You forgot I was here.
He's
We're
the
shoulder
nuts
to
and
shoulder.
bolts of this show. He's the damn glue, people.
I'm the nougaty filling.
We'll get to nougat a little later.
So much nougat in this episode.
It's so nougaty delicious.
Yum.
All right, let's talk about wearables because, like I said, that's all you do here.
Because that's it, and then you can eliminate me.
That's it.
I'm done.
We'll cut the break.
The hourglass is running out. So tell me about like what is popular with wearables in your life. Like, what are you doing that has you like turning to wearables and saying, "Oh, this is the thing I need"?
Yeah. Well, they're definitely not popular in my family. Like,
Yeah.
if I stopped using them, they would be welcomed.
Sure.
You know, because
You'd be like,
nobody.
"Oh, this is gone good."
Yeah, that's one more thing I'm coddling. You know, in my life.
So you're saying you like them?
Yeah, exactly. I said fantastic. I'd say there's definitely a time to wait on getting anything unless you want to spend like $100. But like what I use them for, I kept saying first time I used a Pebble, it's basically like a pager on your wrist.
Okay.
And I don't think it's changed much since then. That the best thing a wearable does is buzz you and give you a reminder, which sometimes can be really helpful if you think you might miss a call or there's something, you know, you don't want to pick up your phone.
Right.
There's also obviously the fitness tracking part, which, you know, if you stick to a routine, the problem is it's a carrot on a stick that's got to go with like a regular gym regimen, nutrition.
And I'm glad you brought up the fitness thing because I think
there's a lot of stuff going on.
I don't want to say what I want to say, but what I am
Sure.
going to say is like, hey, maybe all this fitness crave stuff is not something anyone should really like completely, you know, rely on for getting healthy.
Yes, because, well, no doctor thinks of these as an answer.
Right.
So they're not medically approved.
He looks at the chart. He's like, look, Larry, the reason you're 100 pounds overweight is because you don't have a Fitbit.
You got to get yourself a Fitbit.
Right.
Yeah, it comes down to like when I've been able to lose weight or if I gain weight again, and I've used a ton of these things. First, you got to stick to one. So if I'm switching from one to the other, that's not going to work.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's just a way. It's a motivator. It's like if that works, if you've got some other system that works, but these all cap out generally at the step tracking, and they do some things like you know running or some heart rate stuff. But the deeper you get, the more active you try to get, the more fitness trackers tend to fail you.
Sure.
So if you're just trying to see, oh, was I alive and walking? This makes me sound so dismissive, but it's true. That's great. Really, like if you're going to go to the gym 3 or 4 times a week, you know that, and you know what you're doing.
Watch isn't going to do it.
So the tracker is just like extra motivation. So use it for that. Use it for those. I use it for things like checking the weather, which actually things like Dark Sky is actually a great app. Lets you know like when it's going to rain within like 5 minutes, so you seem like Doc Brown. And
oh, cool.
Yeah, so that I love that app. It's like micro weather reports.
And I want everyone watching on YouTube, Facebook, wherever you're coming from, comment on what you're seeing right here. We're going to answer as many questions as we can, or take your comments, or do what we need to do to help you out to ensure that you have a successful July 4th weekend. And if you're not in the country and you're celebrating something else, you can have a good weekend also. So make sure you interact with us, and we'll get to some of those as they come in. But Scott, I want to pivot to specifically the Apple Watch, the Pebble, the smartwatches.
Sure.
Is right now a time to own a smartwatch?
New.
Okay, moving along.
We're done. You know, basically, if you can spend as little as possible right now, the reason I say that is because we're expecting all these things to get updates in the fall. Like pretty much. I mean, you think Apple Watch should, Android Wear is going to have
There's a new Pebble coming out.
Yeah, new Pebble is coming out. We already know about that. You expect all the other watchmakers probably going to follow suit. So you want to kick yourself for spending several $100s on something that's going to get updated. Now, summer is a good time to wear one because you're probably out and about, but it's just not a great time to buy one. Unless, again, Pebble actually makes a couple of very affordable ones. That's probably a pretty good way to go for something where you're not spending a lot of money, or if something's on sale, like $100, wherever you feel comfortable with. Like if it's buying a pair of shoes,
right,
and you're okay with getting a new pair of shoes later, but just it's like, I don't want to tell you, don't come to me later, tell me that, oh, there's a new version out. That's the problem.
So you're
and
saying...
I think they all need improvements, so there's no perfect smartwatch right now, definitely.
What are you going to say, Joe?
I think one that you mentioned that I'm looking forward to is the Microsoft Band 3.
I just learned that there is something called the Microsoft Band 3. Tell me about it.
No, the 2 is current right now.
Right, that's what you're wearing.
Yeah, but people may not be aware of the Microsoft Band 1 and 2 at this point.
Well, I mean, in a smart band sense, I like a regular watch on my left hand.
Of course.
And I like something that doesn't look like a watch on my right hand.
Okay, now you're
well, because I don't want to look like I'm wearing 2 watches.
But you do look like you're wearing 2 watches.
No, because honestly, if this wasn't so glossy, it would look like
you look like some time traveler.
It would look like the
Livestrong.
It looked like the Livestrong Armstrong band from
you look
Nike.
like me when I'm like testing gadgets most days.
You're not fooling anyone.
I love this because it has GPS and I ride a bicycle, and a lot of them don't have GPS except for like some of the Garmin ones.
Garmin ones, and then increasingly some of the fitness sports ones.
Because I started out with the Nike Fuel Band, loved it. It was great for steps. It was great because of the community.
It was great for steps.
Because it was great for steps in the community because it had little motivational flags. It'd give you Fortnite,
right,
etc.
Right.
But it was horrible if I rode my bicycle because I would ride my bicycle maybe 10 miles and somebody would run 2 miles and it'd kick my butt in the so-called Nike Fuel measurement system. I like this because it actually logs my distance because it has GPS.
Okay.
I like it. It also has UV. I can respond.
UV?
Do you use the UV feature though?
I will this weekend.
Really? But have you actually found that it's like
this
good
is something
feedback?
that appeals to my clear ass.
It has a UV sensor underneath.
It does have a UV sensor.
Oh, I mean, let's be honest. It's got it under your wrist.
Well, I mean, you can wear it the other way around. The band can be
Hold on, let me see if it's sunny.
You actually are meant. So the Microsoft Band, I think you're kind of meant to wear it flipped around, with the band, with the screen underneath.
So you're wearing it wrong.
No, because I'd rather scratch this because I'm typing all the time.
Because then you flip and you can do the readout. Otherwise, you're like that, and you're bending your arm.
Another reason, actually, another benefit to having it underneath though is you can have your text alerts and when Scott tweeted, they come on the top, and everybody, like my son is always like,
I got you.
You can like put your nose. You can use your nose to.
But I would like to
swipe
see,
the screen.
in terms of features, it's great. I would like to see a better battery life.
Yeah.
And maybe a little more refined design. But I'm content with all the features it has.
All right, you're welcome, Microsoft. That's the longest time you ever had about the band.
You were on board with Microsoft.
Because they just
they
added,
collect a lot of
but
data.
they also added sports community as a sleep tracker. So now like Nick Healy is my only other friend with a Microsoft 2 band. So I can see how well Nick did, and then people within my age group.
Joe and Nick in the community.
You guys holding another meeting?
Well, no, because another thing, you could get competitive.
Yeah.
Be competitive.
All right. I don't want to spend too much time.
Nick's not doing more steps in Australia than I can do in New York.
Well, it's gravity's
This is a big
different.
thing. Yeah, social is, if you're going to do this fitness band stuff, one of the main points is you do it to compete with people.
Yeah, they had to gamify it.
Yeah, gamify it. Yeah. And finally Apple Watch is getting on board with that, but Fitbit, that's the main appeal of Fitbit, I think, is that you say, oh, you have a friend that does it. So again, if it's like, if you have like 10 friends that all are like using Jawbones.
Right.
You're like the Jawbone, exactly, you said, you got the club. Then join that club.
Yeah.
Because you got your Jawbone club. But hopefully it's a platform that a lot of other people are using.
Does that feel stupid when you say that?
Jawbone club? Join that Jawbone club. Well, it's like people used to spend all sorts of money on other like diet plans and things. Everybody would buy a gadget just to do those things back in the 70s or whatever that period of time was.
Yeah.
You didn't have, more advanced pedometers. But what I'm just saying is, yeah.
All right. Well, listen, let's hear what the internet has to say about this fine stuff. I believe we have a couple questions from the internet.
Yes, guys. So Elliot on YouTube just had a comment. He says that he likes the Moto 360 for its faces. Dominic on Facebook loves his Pebble for its long battery charge. RJ said he's tried several of the smartwatches out there, but he likes just an old-fashioned watch for the basics. And Jorge had a question. He wants to know if if you think GPS could come to a future version of an Apple Watch, or if there's any speculation that you guys have heard about an Apple Watch 2 in the future.
Scott, what do you think about the GPS on an Apple Watch?
Well, biggest problem with
It's
GPS.
the iPhone.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, just strap that around your wrist.
Biggest problem with GPS is the battery life hit, because you're going to
Right.
get like 6 hours maximum of GPS use before most of these devices die, and so the battery life is already pretty low on the Apple Watch. You're like a day and a half, and do you want to cut that down further? That's the only problem, and then you also have to make it a little bit bigger, probably, because a lot of these things have to find a way to get that mechanism, get that tech in there.
Right, like, man, they just need to make the Apple Watch automatic, huh?
That's what I think, is just focus on making it more automatic and more seamless.
So when I say automatic, I mean like powered by the motion of your wrist.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
You know what I
Yes,
mean?
exactly.
Like, I get it. That's an
Kinetic.
insane amount of energy you're producing, but like, yeah, watches kind of need to have that. That's why like the automatic watches of the world are amazing,
Right.
And just kind of like laugh in the face of all these smartwatches.
Well, it's charging is the most annoying thing, and it's amazing to me how many people seem okay with charging their device. The problem is this: if we had some sort of universal charging, there's Qi. I mean, like a universal charging mat or stand.
Right.
But what happens is that all of these wearables don't use it, or they use it in some way. You have to use a special little
Oh, it's ridiculous.
attachment. You can't just chuck them on the
Yeah.
table.
We were
Your
promised
magic
the
charging
mat.
table.
We were promised the mat.
Yeah,
where
you
you
can't
just like
chuck them on your charging table.
Yeah.
But if you could just take off all your stuff, and your shoes, your hat, your smart glasses, your smart pants, whatever, you put those on the charge table. Sure,
be
that's
nice.
great.
I mean-
But I'm not going to hunt around for these dongles and carry them, and it gets frustrating. Pebble I do like is the battery life.
Yeah, like
That's the thing.
Look,
Solid week.
full disclosure, full transparency. I pre-ordered a Pebble Time 2
Yeah.
on Kickstarter. I backed it. I always wanted a Pebble, but I convinced myself to wait, and I feel like I'm finally going to be rewarded for my patience. This Pebble Time 2, I think, looks like, I like the size of that screen. They really doubled up on that.
They did.
Yeah.
And I think that they've been making, a lot of these watches have been making gains if you do care about fitness tracking.
Right.
The basic fitness tracking has all been getting better on those watches.
Okay.
Android Wear has been getting better over time. Pebble has been doing automatic step and sleep tracking. So it kind of almost does the same thing that you would get out of a Fitbit, minus, again, the community.
Uh-huh.
But some basic features are already in there. So you might find yourself pretty happy with a lot of what it offers. Just don't expect, again, like the idea of apps on a watch, if you even want that stuff's not there. Some of the things like, payments are
Right.
starting to show up. But again, like how often do I use this for payments? I've always got my wallet, and it's not showing up on every terminal. So
Yeah. What do you think the next big step smartwatches have to achieve for them to hit this sort of like critical mass?
Well, I had dinner in San Francisco when I was out there last time. It was like sitting next to this couple, and it's like the classic average, person. Well, they were in tech, so it's different.
Right.
But I thought that their comment was going to be something about like battery life, and basically they just said, "Yeah, you tell Apple, I'll buy one of those when it doesn't cost $700."
This is price.
And price, and like I can use it away from my phone.
Yeah. You have to sever that connection.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
I actually think those two things that actually hits on something. It's price, and when the more people realize how much you need your phone around, these things do a little bit without your phone, but not enough, and that really breaks the like magic super watch thought.
Sure.
Of like, what am I using this for?
Yeah.
So I think you could do it more with that. Now 3G connection. Some of these watches already have cellular. Samsung Gear S2 3G.
Again, you're talking. It's another radio. It's another power suck.
Yeah, it cuts down. All these things cut down. When I wear them, sometimes they last for like
Yeah.
9 hours.
It's crazy.
A battery. LG has one that is 3G Android Wear, but you have to pay for the extra data. They're bigger. They don't really make much sense. A lot of the apps don't really feel hooked into it.
Right.
So it's kind of an interesting idea, but it's not really an interesting idea. But at some point, you do want it to work, just like work. And I know that sounds dumb and obvious, but
No.
that's it. Is that you don't want to spend a lot of time
Yeah.
on your watch. Everybody's onto that.
We're just not there yet.
No.
We're just not there yet.
And watch faces. I think finally, like somebody said, that's a great point about watch faces.
About the 360, yeah.
Just make all these things should be are cool watch
And, like,
faces.
And
that
let
have-
me do it on the computer. Like, give me
Yeah.
a great set of tools, Pebble, Moto, whatever it is, even Apple. Do it, Apple.
Yeah, let me build it.
Let me build it and do what I want.
and add as many. If
Yeah.
I want that screen
Complications.
to be filled
Yeah.
with like 20
All the
little
state capitals.
tiny bits of
I don't know
info
why.
where I just like am looking at it with a
That's-
microscope,
yeah.
like a jeweler's loop. So what?
I want that.
I agree.
All right, we're
Do whatever I want.
There's a question from YouTube. Are smartwatch batteries getting bigger?
Like physically, or
No, they weren't specific.
I guess they have to get bigger if they're going to take up more real estate. You mean?
They may have to,
don't know.
or I think you're going to have a hard time making even more efficient process. You're up against a bit of a wall.
Right.
They might have to get a little bit bigger,
Yeah.
or come up with. I mean, I actually think a way to go would be maybe some sort of battery wristband.
Yeah, maybe.
Or
That makes sense. I like that. I want to see that. Apple's put batteries in everything. Put it in the wristband.
well, Pebble did that whole smart band thing, which
Yeah.
never really turned into anything. And so why don't you have like smart strap accessories?
Right. All right. Good thoughts. We're going to toss to Mike in the control room for just a sec before we move on.
All right, there. Thank you very much, everybody, for joining us. We just want to do a couple of quick call-outs. Thank you to Steven, Jeff, Dave, Ed, RJ, Dave, Kendrick, Paul, Brad, and Edwin for being in our Facebook chat. And over on YouTube, thanks to Saucy, Sanir, Clifford for talking with us today. Jeff, Joe, Scott, back to you guys as we keep going.
Saucy.
Saucy's off.
Who's Saucy? What's up, Saucy? How you doing?
That's pretty good.
Welcome to the show. Okay. Now, Scott and I got to do something really awesome this week.
Who you gonna call?
Who are you going to call? Who are you going to call? Is what Janine says in the first Ghostbusters film.
Yeah.
We got to do this amazing VR Ghostbusters experience.
That's the other thing Scott does.
What?
VR.
Yeah, it was a joke, Joe. Like, we know he does.
I was
all this.
thinking of
not
it. I totally forgot.
Yeah, okay, great.
I have one other role.
Man, oh, God.
Then you can retire me.
Interrupting me, jeez. Anyway, Madame Tussauds. You know what Madame
good.
Tussauds is? If you don't know what it is, it's this wax museum place. There's a couple of them around the world. There's one in Times Square. And Ghostbusters, the new film out later this month, teamed up with this VR company called The Void. And The Void puts together these very elaborate, interactive, over-the-top VR experiences. And you and I got to sample it out a few days before it goes public. I believe it starts today. It's open today.
It does.
So this was amazing because, to me, this was the best VR I'd ever done. And I was telling you that, and you kind of like...
I was like, really?
Yeah, because I'm never optimistic about anything.
No, it's true. And Sarah, our photographer, tried it out, and she's like really cynical about things like VR, and she said that was pretty cool.
Yeah, she's like, it's cool.
Which is like the highest praise you could give. I liked it a lot. And I found myself getting a little bit like...
Sick?
super critical about VR because I just use a lot. And
Yeah, you have a refined VR palette.
Yeah, and I bet like the bloom is worn off as far as like the novelty of it.
Right.
But it is really cool as far as how you feel like you're in another space. And you can walk around
It's amazing. I mean,
anywhere.
regardless of that, the VR they had of me interviewing Ivan Reitman was amazing. It felt like I was actually sitting next to him.
He was so real.
So realistic. He even said, "Hey, Jeff, good to meet you." I couldn't believe it. Anyway,
rendering.
so check it out. This is what we did. They put you in this amazing apparatus. Dude, the vest we had was force feedback, and it was locationally aware. So while you're walking through this open space, this set that they build for the VR experience, you felt feedback like if a ghost threw a book at your left shoulder, guess what? Your left shoulder vibrated.
It's like crazy VR laser tag.
Yeah,
like
it was
to see this slide.
like
Where
I
you're wandering
really
with this gear.
can't say enough amazing stuff about this thing. I think when you like really break it down, it was super impressive. So again, like imagine they build an entire sort of fun house for you to walk through.
Yeah.
The floor shakes. They emulated an elevator. The floor shakes. You could feel the walls in the VR and in real life. Like
And
you
we
put
don't even know what it looked like.
Right. That's the thing. We had no idea. Like
could've
it
been in
probably
a
looked
hallway.
terrible. It probably just looked like a bunch of set pieces because no one's actually going to see that because they
alleyway.
basically overlay the VR over the physical world that they've created inside. So like there's a part where you think you're on a scaffolding. There's a railing. You put your arm out to grab the rail and you grab a rail. Like you actually feel it. Of course, they shake the crap out of it and you think like you're going to fall off a 40-story building. But man,
It lines up really well.
it lined up real well. You open doors, and you're even able to do that, and you feel that one-to-one connection. You go in with three people total, so you see the other people in that experience, which is something I'd never done in VR before.
No, and
where
you
it
can
was
talk
like,
to each other, and you sort of do a little bit of communication about your plan.
I thought it was so damn cool.
So would you go back?
I would do it again. I mean, it's only like 7 minutes. You're not.
Yeah.
it's,
And
Yeah,
it's
it'll probably be a
with-
longer line
with the
for that
Madame
7
Tussauds
minutes.
admission and the extra price. Like, it's not cheap, but it's like, again, as a one-time experience versus buying this VR gear
Right.
and putting it in your home, it's probably like the right level for people. And it's doing stuff you can't do at home, which is wander through this huge maze of rooms. And with a backpack computer
Yeah.
that's totally wireless.
wireless. Like, let's not forget
Now,
about that.
what's the
Yeah.
age range? Like, what's the age range? Is the height requirement, age
48
requirement?
inches.
Oh
I
yeah.
asked them about this.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's smart.
So 48 inches, no age range, but it's because of the weight of the backpack.
Right.
So it's and probably for safety too, just to make sure you're not gonna fall over or anything. But I think it's interesting. They do kind of let you feel free to just do whatever you want. Technically, you could like fall over.
Yeah, I guess like if you wanted to, you could climb over that scaffolding.
I bet that
and
each
just fall
room-
into like, and where someone is probably there like, dude, get back.
Right.
Just get back into the thing.
I
Don't.
figured if you removed your helmet, it
I'm
would-
so mad I didn't do that.
I should have done it. I figured it would have been like eyes wide shut. There's just like a circle of people
watching you. Yeah. Maybe. Well, so,
Silent watchers.
so, like-
they're probably already. They're probably a lot of assistants ready
Yeah.
to help because of safety concerns.
I would imagine it's just very bright because all of those like little ping pong balls have to be
That's a
able
good
to,
point.
to
We
be
assume
red.
it's dark, but it's.
So
Yeah, what
we
were you
have-
gonna
we
say,
have-
Joe?
Oh, we have Marcus in the chat. He wants
Okay.
to know, is it immersive VR and not augmented? He's
No,
curious.
it's completely immersive. You are putting on a headset, looking through lenses.
Right.
You can't see any of the real world. But what they do is they built a set in reality that has the same spatial dimensions of what you're seeing in VR. So like there was one part where like there was a graded sort of gate. I put my hand on it and it felt like a gate. It felt like a fence. They really did a great job. There's one scene where Slimer passes through you like the ghost, and they like missed you, right?
They missed
you
you.
got
So
like
it's
a little wet.
damp.
Yeah. Oh, it was so
There's like
good.
some smell sometimes. There's like a bit of 4D
was
4D
so
theater.
good.
It's like those 4D cinema experiences, and exactly they call it hyper reality or mixed
Yeah,
reality.
that's all marketing.
It is
nonsense.
marketing. It is VR, and if you know about the HTC Vive, basically, yeah, it's kind of like what HTC Vive does with boundaries of a room.
Yeah.
But like you say, it's much more advanced in the sense that they map. I mean, they're building this to a specific set.
Right.
So they build out all the physical details that they want, so you can feel like you're touching more. Plus, they have, like you said, all the other sensory stuff. But then it's full VR.
Right. It's full VR, and that's the thing, and that's
So
where
you're
I
not
think
looking
like
outside.
right, and that's where I think like VR kind of works great right now. Like.
Yes.
Do this, like build these things at theme parks, wherever they are, build it, make it this, because, the VR, the experience relies just as much on the physical space as it does the VR. Like if there
Definitely.
wasn't a vibrating floor, if there wasn't wind to make you think you're on top of a building, it would fall flat. This adds something that you just aren't going to get at home.
Right. Like they realize the more senses you can throw at you to create that illusion, it's not about the graphics even. And the
Right.
graphics, I feel like, in a way, are stepped down a
Yeah,
bit.
they weren't the best.
Right. They weren't like, if you've tried HTC Vive, you might have actually seen something with a little bit better graphics, but they're still good. But it's not like, yeah, you feel like you're more in a game,
Yeah.
but it's everything else starts to create that sense of reality where you go, oh, wow. And then you
kinda
take it off and you're like,
It
can't believe I
taps
did
like
that.
all the senses to touch, smell, feel, and all that. Kind
Yeah, I feel like the smell was probably unintentional, but that worked.
There was
Yeah.
a toasted marshmallow smell at the end.
Was it really?
I wasn't joking when I said it smelled like toasted marshmallows.
They did that on purpose?
Yes.
Did
it
you ask
smelled-
them?
I didn't ask them, but so maybe it
You
was
smelled what you want to smell.
Yeah, I might have just been
You were just
smelling.
hungry. You were
So
just
you were
I may have
hungry?
just been smelling things.
Yeah.
But when I was fighting the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man, I had to give it away. But
That
yeah.
felt weird. And like, wasn't it great how like you shot him in the hand and his hand got burnt?
Yeah.
Like it wasn't like all canned stuff where like,
No, it's really
oh,
like a
this
game.
is just loading because it's supposed to. Like in the first scene, you're in this little room in an apartment and you just tear the whole place to crap. Like you just use your proton.
Shoot
It's
everything.
and like all the stuff's on the floor and I'm like, oh, that was supposed to just do that. And then I shot the stuff on the floor and it popped
And it
again. And I
popped,
was like,
yeah.
oh, okay, this is a game. This is like the physics
Absolutely.
of a video game.
Yeah, it's a real like little mini game.
Yeah.
And oh man, the elevator just scared me. Though it wasn't too scary. But that one moment in the elevator,
Because they had this like girl pass
girl
through,
ghost
and
who
she's
comes
like,
in.
What did she say? I'm cold, or
Oh,
something like
I
that.
was like,
yeah.
I literally went to cover my eyes, even though there were no like
You're like,
hands.
"Ugh."
I just like I would close my eyes, like it's gonna be bad. There's no
Yeah.
good thing that happens with girl ghost getting on elevator.
It's never good. It
No,
never
it's
ends well.
going to scare you. It reminded me of Tower of Terror.
For sure.
I had a little bit of a Tower of Terror
Same kind of
feeling.
vibe.
When I went off on that balcony, really
got
felt
scared.
like I felt scared, and then I turned around and saw that my other Ghostbusters buddies stayed behind. They were all like back in
They're like, "I'm not going out
the
there."
room of the hotel watching me to see what would happen, as if I would like die
It's
die in
good.
VR.
They did a great job. So
Yeah.
you know, you got to give props to the Void. They did a really good job with that.
I may have sounded like a little bit critical when I wrote it, just because I felt like I was expecting. I heard so much about the Void, and I thought, you know, is this redefining what I think about VR? Not entirely, but it is really well done.
Yeah, for sure. All right, let's move things along just a
got
little
one more
bit.
VR question.
Sure.
They want to know from Scott, which VR do you think is better? I believe this is the Vive versus the Oculus.
Oh, that's a good question. Okay, settle this right now. I think the Vive is the best hardware going right now for a number of reasons. I think the visual quality in the headset looks a little bit better. The controllers, the room element, and there are more games right now that you can get on Steam. I think Oculus Touch is going to catch up to that quite a bit. I like Oculus's compact feeling, though, and the design of just the package, I think, is a little more consumer friendly. I still feel like, though, for the average person, you're probably better off just getting something super cheap like a Gear VR
Totally.
and waiting.
Yeah.
You know, PlayStation VR is pretty cool. I want to see more about that. I feel like that's a good price with the system.
That's definitely the most accessible.
Yeah,
especially if you have a PS4.
That's kind of the one I'd want to like
And you already
buy
have the
the
hardware,
most.
so you don't have to worry about buying a new system.
Yeah, right. That's
Right,
exactly.
because I'm not like a PC gamer, and so like I mean, investing, you have to invest in the PC, and but you know the stuff is going to get better in like a year.
Totally.
And the games are going to keep getting better.
The headsets won't suck as much wearing. And
that's the thing, is that suddenly, like, how many times you're going to buy a new headset?
yeah, we're not there yet, but we're on the road.
To a pair of glasses and earphones. Earbuds.
That's it, right?
But I'd say like the best Vive.
So I'm talking to two people who use iPhones, right? You guys have iPhones?
I've had
an
Android
iPhone.
before, too.
You've had Android. You've dipped in the Android pond.
Evo 3D,
Yeah,
Hero.
no, I get it. Android
I
phones.
go in and
Android
out.
phones.
Mostly iPhone.
So yeah, Android. Google came out and said, "Hey, Android N. You know what the N stands for?
It's not Nutella.
Nougat. It's what?
It's not Nutella.
It should have been. Although I guess the Nutella people were like, pay us. But anyway, I guess no one owns the copyright to Nougat. Maybe
The
like
Nougat
Snickers
people.
has. Snickers probably has like a nice chunk of Nougat. But anyway, that's what the new OS is called.
Open source.
Nougat.
Nougat
And
is Creative Commons.
right off the bat, I want to talk to Google right now. I got a bone to pick with you, Google, and I get it. You let me load Nougat onto my Nexus 6P, and I thank you for the opportunity to test drive your beta software. But we've got some problems. Number one, so overall, it is a good experience. It's Nougat. I mean, it's delicious, right? It's delicious.
There's nothing wrong with Nougat.
No one's ever been like, ugh, this cake has Nougat in it.
Can we just specify, too, that Nougat can be purchased 2 blocks away? This is not a plug for
So
that
we- are we-
store.
so we
There's
gonna
a
go
great like world food market.
You're in the pocket of Big Nougat.
Exactly. Big Nougat's asking us. But I thought about buying a bunch of nougat to bring on, because they make some delicious types of nougat around the world with nuts and fruit and what have you.
All right, I'm going to eat my hand right now.
Yeah,
I'm
the
So
last-
this
starving.
encourages
Yeah, I think
people
Froyo
to...
was the last dessert we had in here for an OS launch.
No,
Yeah.
Kit Kat.
Do we have Kit Kats in here? You didn't
Oh,
bring-
you mean actual... What do you say?
Brian Bennett brought Froyo for everyone when he was with HTC for the launch. Of,
Okay, 4 people know what you're talking about.
That's a
All
long
right.
time ago.
well, that's when I was Android.
But I would say if this raises a little bit more awareness about the deliciousness of certain types of nougat,
Yeah, dude, the nougat
Maybe
veil
it's-
has been lifted.
yeah.
So wait, back to my yelling at Google. So like I said, it really is. They've sped up Marshmallow. God, you can't sound cool at all talking about Android OSs.
You really sound masculine.
I sound like a maniac. So anyway, Marshmallow I really enjoyed.
Okay.
Nougat, so far so good. I have a big problem with the fact that like if I have Wi-Fi on and I leave a Wi-Fi area, the 4G radio, the LTE radio, like doesn't turn on. And I have to like cycle airplane mode for it to pick up LTE again. Which is just like,
annoying.
come on.
Bizarre beta
I mean,
bugs.
maybe it's like, why is this still a thing? Why is that still a thing? It could just be me. I haven't Googled it or anything. I just noticed
I mean,
it today.
it could also be another app you have installed that may be conflicting.
No, that is not the answer. It is Nougat.
So you actually have no other app on your phone.
No.
Is Nougat
Stop.
self-aware where you could ask it that directly and it could start to
You mean
coalesce an
let's
answer?
do it. Let's do it. Let's try it
Ask
out.
Nougat.
Okay, Google. Why are you doing this thing with Nougat right now? It's just searching what I just said.
Ask Siri.
Is it called Nougat because maybe all the chunks of nuts and fruit are like the little things they're integrating into the I'm overthinking it.
Anyway,
It's because they didn't have
yeah.
to pay for the rights.
while
Yeah.
Scott enjoys the rest of his acid trip, we know.
Yeah, it's delicious.
You have anything else to say about Android Nougat, you guys?
Well, you've got to play with this.
I know,
don't
it's,
think
yeah,
you
I
have the
haven't
it
played
is
motion.
good.
around
Like,
with it.
so if you're worried about features, the Doze mode, do you know what Doze is? Doze is this like remarkable sleep battery conservation technology they put in, or software rather, they put in Marshmallow. It worked amazing. You would leave the phone sitting still overnight. In 10 hours, you would get like maybe 3 to 4% battery drain, which is like unheard of. Apparently now it's new and improved. I haven't noticed much more of a saving, but I mean, if you go overnight and only lose about 5% battery, like that's kind of remarkable.
Any other standouts? That you
They allow you to reply in notifications, which is just basic stuff. It really isn't a cosmetic design redesign. It's just more of like a zippier performance, under the hood sort of stuff.
will it work on like what version hardwares will it go back to? Like how far back?
I don't know. I don't know that answer.
Is Assistant working on that now? Like, have you tried any chatbot assistant stuff in messages?
I just use the regular Google person, whoever
Okay.
she is. She's lovely.
She's around.
She's around. She responds to OK Google.
There's like that. Like, did instant apps ever show up in any meaningful way? That was something they kept talking about.
I
but
feel
I don't know
like
if
that's a developer thing.
That's a
right?
developer
Like,
thing,
They
right.
have to get on that if they want that to be a thing.
Yeah, it's the question is like, how do you? That's the biggest question to me is like when you have these like how best to appreciate. We're gonna have this question with iOS 10.
Yeah.
How best to appreciate like all the new features?
Yeah,
and
I don't
how
know
they
yet.
Show up.
We'll have to see how it shakes out.
Carlos seems to be fond of the name Nougat, and he's happy with the brand name.
Right. Well, are you
Carlos from
whispering?
the chat. I just got a ping about it. Yeah.
Excellent.
It's less. It is kind of less cutesy. It's just more weird and gross.
Nougat.
Nougat.
Okay, we're talking about.
We're talking about
Nougat,
just
so,
talking about
yeah,
a name.
Yeah.
Just talking about
I'm
some,
with you.
some nougat.
Nutella would have worked better for me. There's really no other candies or desserts.
I
that
mean,
start with an N.
Nesty, but they're big.
Yeah,
they're a
that's
bigger
a huge
brand. Yeah.
licensing thing. All right, let's pivot into our final topic of the day. What are you guys doing for the 4th of July, and does it involve tech at all? Because I'm doing a lot of stuff that I kind of am looking forward to just kind of putting the phone down. You know what I mean? Being outside in shade, but being outside. Do you know what I mean? Like enjoying the elements. What do you guys got going on this weekend?
I'm supposed to go to the Bahamas Sunday, and I got some lip because I said, should I bring my Apple TV? And I was told we're going to be on the beach, and I'm the anti-sun. I'm not a big sun person. I don't mind coming out after nightfall, but I like being indoors during the day.
Right, because you're a normal person, and then you know the secrets about the sun.
I love
It's terrible.
naps. I love naps.
All right.
I like taking naps.
Okay, you sound like my grandfather.
It's a 4th of July.
It's a 4th.
plan.
So naps, Apple TV in the Bahamas.
Naps all
Dude,
the time.
if you're going to the Bahamas, you got to gamble a little bit.
I don't gamble.
Okay.
I'll probably play with my son on the water slides and stuff.
That sounds lovely. That'll be really nice. I
Bahamas
hope you
sounds
have a great
awesome.
time.
That's a nice trip.
Where are you staying there?
Totally forgot. The girlfriend did all the booking.
All right, good to know.
I'm going to Freeport though.
Oh, right. All right, great. Man, there was one place I remember going there. I think it's called like Tequila and Dreams or something like that.
Sounds about
Real
right.
dicey.
It's funny you should say tequilas. I think like the 9th, July 9th, they have this little cruise ship leaving Manhattan. It's tacos and tequila.
Okay, let's tell Laura about that.
I did. I sent her the link.
I'm sure you did. Scott Stein, what do you got going on for the 4th of July? How are you going to celebrate this nation's independence?
Visiting my family on Long Island.
Ah, the last free
That's
state.
what we do.
Yeah.
Yeah, before it drifts off into the ocean.
That one earthquake. Yeah.
Becomes its own place. Long Island.
We kind of should just like cut it off at Queens and just go and just like throw it into the Atlantic, right?
always
Put up a big sail
Yeah,
and just sort
you're
of
like,
say,
"Bye."
we're going on a journey.
Bye, we don't need you. What do you,
Go travel around Florida. Do a little journey. We'll be back in a couple of months.
so you going to Long Island this
Going
weekend?
out to Long Island. Going
Yeah.
out there to see family and get my family set. They're going to the UK.
All right, that's
nice.
right.
Yeah.
Oh, good luck. Good luck.
Yeah,
Are
so
you going
that's
to be
gonna
barbecuing this
Gonna
weekend?
be joining them in a little while.
I love how everyone's like impression of the
Yeah,
UK
the
now
UK,
is
UK.
like alternate 1985 Back to the Future, where like Biff took over.
Yeah, it is.
You know what I mean?
It's like
and if
that.
we're not careful, that's how it's going to go in this. Oh, yeah.
It's that or like Escape from New York. It's like
Yeah.
this feeling of like it's like
Be careful, Zach's in house
Wow.
today. We don't want to bring
I
down.
know.
the
But
house.
we're
touchy
going there.
subject.
We're going
It's
there.
gonna be fine
and
cheap.
Of course.
Yeah.
I go there a lot, and looking forward to going back again. But I'm gonna have a couple weeks when they're gone. That's what's gonna happen. Is after 4th of July, I'm just going to be like lonely guy.
Bachelor Town.
Bachelor Town.
And if anyone's
hanging
interested,
out. I'm going to create a hashtag, hang out with Stein.
that's cool. All right.
But,
good
sure
choice.
you're gonna
catch
love
up on movies and feel like Louis C.K. in that episode.
You're
where
gonna
he-
be
Right,
in
and
VR
play
world.
some games. Play some
Definitely
games.
Yeah,
VR.
actually play some games and catch up on all the boring stuff that,
Right.
It'll actually be pretty boring.
Okay, sounds good. That's
Yeah.
great.
What about you, sir?
Oh, I'm just going to my hometown, see my parents, gonna hang out around there, do the barbecues, do the swimming,
Have you
maybe
played
the
hockey?
beach.
Have you played hockey lately?
I've been playing hockey. Yeah, I play about twice a week. Thanks for
You
asking.
see Graziano on the ice
I
lately?
appreciate it. No, Graziano's not allowed to play there anymore. Anyway, thank you for joining us on another edition
thank you.
of Open Tab. Do me a favor, keep the conversation going in the comments, and we will be back next week, I promise. Until next time, we'll see you soon. Thank you so much to everybody here in the control room.
I didn't even mention that.
What?
Mild tendonitis. In
You're
case you were
fine,
curious.
right?
They're like, everyone's like, what the heck is this? This is just,
Nobody asked what that was?
That's the new Apple smartwatch.
they figure I'm testing something out.
All right.
It's
We'll see you
really
guys
bad
next
for
time.
wearables.
It's
though.
the virtual gauntlet.